Hey everyone, what's going on? I know, it's been a while. Uh, Internet issues, life, a whole bunch of stuff getting in the way, right? Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about doing for a while. It's a little different. This right now, at least, is just going to be like a pilot podcast that I was kind of thinking about doing for a while now. I was supposed to do it with some friends. We've discussed it for a few years. It's been on again, off again, how we're going to do it. Now I'm just testing this out, see how it goes. Maybe they'll put a fire under their butts and we'll get this thing going. Yeah, so it's just testing it out, see how it goes. As always, you go to ultisups.com and use the promo code Scorton_boy at checkout. Gets you 10% off your order. You can get like this right now, the blue raspberry ulti energy. You can get yourselves those shakers and all that. So as you can see in the clear shaker, I got the blue raspberry going on. Uh, they do have new flavors coming. There's been a little bit of an issue with labels. It was supposed to have dropped already, but they're having a hard time getting the labels right. So they're just waiting on those, but those should come out the next week or two, hopefully, is what I've seen on the Discord chat that we have. Other than that, yeah, should have a new partnership as well to announce, maybe even two. We'll wait and see. One I know is definitive. I'm just waiting on a couple things. The other one we'll see. But yeah, so as I said, this is going to be like a little bit of a podcast, a little different. So, I have been blogging. I did one a while ago for the last Backlash, WWE Backlash. I did kind of my own review of that, and then I just posted one not too long ago, also on my blog, and that's kind of what this one is about. This show is going to be kind of like a hockey podcast idea. That was what me and my friends had decided we were going to do. So this is kind of going along that theme. And you'll see up on the side, well, other way, over here in a little minute. Oop, there'll be, you'll actually be able to see my podcast or my blog. I got it up on my other screen here as I'm looking at it. And yeah, so I'll put a link in because this will be on. I'll put this up later on YouTube as well. There'll be a link directly to the blog. You can check it out. Feel free, if you're watching, to leave any comments as we go. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. Title: What the hell is going on at MLSE? So obviously, this is all about what's going on in MLSE right now, and with the whole Kyle Dubas situation and Brendan Shanahan and all that nonsense. Yeah, so like I said, this is a little bit late because this did happen last week, and it was a long weekend here in Canada. Um, yeah, so it was a long weekend. I had my birthday on Monday. It was a whole bunch of fun stuff happening. So this got dropped Friday afternoon. Press conference for Shanahan was at 3 o'clock on a long weekend. That was fun. It's good stuff. Yeah, so basically, for anyone that doesn't know, Kyle Dubas is out as GM as the Maple Leafs. There's a lot of things that happen. We'll kind of go into it and we'll kind of see where it goes from here. I discussed a lot of it in the blog. I'll kind of just hit on some key points here and there as we go. I'm not going to go into full depth on everything. This just. I don't know how long this episode will be, to be honest, but we'll see how it goes. So, like we said, last Friday, we all get the notification. I'm at work. Check my phone. I go like, holy shit. Sorry for swearing. That's probably going to happen a lot on this. But yeah, I was like, holy shit. They just let Kyle Dubas go. What the hell's going on? All week it was, okay, by Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll have an offer and he'll be signed as a new he'll sign his extension and stay on as GM. That's what everyone was reporting on. Chris Johnston, or Elliot Friedman, a bunch of places. So this kind of came out of left field. Like, what the hell? What happened? right? So that's when it gets into it. But kind of a little bit back history. Kyle Dubas initially hired by the Leafs back on July 22nd, 2014. He was the youngest general manager of the Sioux Greyhounds, and he was 28 years old when they hired him to be an assistant GM. And people thought he was too young to be a GM in the OHL at the time, and here he is, 28, a couple of years later, getting hired by an NHL club. On May 11th, 2018, they let Lou Lamoriello go as GM and named Kyle Dubas as officially the GM, the 17th GM in Maple Leaf franchise history. A franchise that's been around for over 100 years, you're only at 17 GMs. That's pretty good. Um, say what you want about him. He's tenure got off to a hard start. With the whole William Nylander contract situation, didn't get decided until December of that year. And I know there's lots of people that don't like the deal. Yeah, he got paid a lot of money that first year, but as the deal progressed, it turned out to be one of the best deals he's ever signed. The way that Nylander plays, he makes not nearly what he should be making. He's consistently one of their best players. And I know people are like, oh, Willie sucks, Willie this, Willie that. You can't argue. Look at the stats. He's been one of the best players, especially in the playoffs on this team. Can't argue against it. He should be there, regardless. I know people are saying they need to trade him, but no, he's your best player. You keep him. There's other players you have to trade. Horner, sorry. And I love Mitch, but out of other guys, I think he's going to get your best return, and you got to get rid of somebody. Got it. You can't keep this core together. That's proven that's not worked. And Dubas even said so on his Monday press conference when they had their locker clean out before he got let go. That nothing was off the table and he was willing to move on from guys. And Dubas was willing to make moves. He brought in Ryan O'Reilly, wrong sport. Ryan O'Reilly, Noel Acciari, at the deadline, the other moves that he's made. And then he made some other ones that weren't so great. Like he protected Justin Hall in the expansion draft, even though they just acquired Jared McCann. No, let's let him go. We want Justin Hall. Dude, come on. That was terrible. I thought it was terrible then, and looking back, it's still freaking terrible. Look what McCann did this year with Seattle, and look what Hall did. You're letting Hall walk this offseason, really. You're not going to re-sign Hall unless he's coming back on like a $1 million deal. And even then, I kind of go, no, you get rid of him. You went from having no guys on the right side to you got a pretty good logjam of right-handed defensemen now. You bring back Luke Shen over Justin Hall, and Luke Shen should be back no matter what. That guy, you need Luke Shen on this Leaf team. Okay, so according to Brendan Shanahan's press conference, he said back in mid-March, he had approached Kyle Dubas in his office and said he's seen enough that he wanted him to stay on as GM moving forward. Kyle Dubas felt like he needed to talk to his family after Brendan said it was probably best to talk to your family. So they did. Week later, he says, "Yeah, I want to stay on. Here's my agent's name. You two get in contact. I don't want to be distracted in the negotiations during my tenure here as well. Keep doing my general manager duties," which is totally understandable. And Brandon apparently respected that decision. After the Game 5 loss in Round 2, Brendan approached Kyle and said, "Everything's all good. We're going to proceed as we agreed to. And, yeah, expect an offer soon." The day before locker cleanout, he actually presented Kyle with the framework of the deal that him and his agent had negotiated. Financials, everything seemed to be in there from what him and the agent had discussed. Kyle seemed very pleased, apparently. Again, this is all according to Brendan. Kyle seemed very pleased that everything was going on. And yeah, He said, I gotta talk to my family and I'll let you know. Then Monday happened. And that's where even Brendan says, during Kyle's press conference, I thought, I'm speaking like I'm. Brendan said, we need a new GM. I don't think he wants to stay. And that led off a whole week of going back and forth. Tuesday and Wednesday, they said there was not much done. Wednesday, they did have a meeting where they talked about personnel. There was a lot of talk, they said. And yeah, Brendan said he had more questions than answers from Kyle about wanting to stay on. And that's when he knew he had to move on. And he slept on it. Walked into Kyle's office on Friday morning before a long weekend and said, we will not be offering you an extension. You will no longer be general manager as of July 1. So basically, clean your stuff and get out now. Brendan went back to his office, called all personnel, including players, coaches, other management people, to inform them of the decision. It did not go over well with a lot of people, including a special assistant to the GM, Jason Spezza, who right then and there tendered his resignation. And it looks like him and Kyle are going to go somewhere else, possibly Ottawa. And you know what? I think MLSE is going to look stupid here soon. Kyle's going to go to a team like Ottawa, and he's going to win the cup there and rub it in their face. I am a Dubas fan. I think he did a tremendous job. I hate that they let him go. Both sides are going to regret it, I think. Especially Shanahan and the board. They are really going to hate it. Yeah, so Dubas didn't really mention anything. He put out a press release yesterday. Let's see if I can get it to come up here. Of course, it's loading. I should have played this a little bit better, but it is what it is. Go back. Okay. He titled it Onward. What is going on here? I thought my internet was fixed. Alright, here we go. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Here we go. While I understand there's interesting surrounding circumstances of my departure, I will not get into the specifics of what I consider to be reasonable and consistent but private discussions. In the days that I felt I needed to assess and evaluate my own journey to the future, both with respect to the necessity of the club and ensuring that I had full support of my family for what I knew would require the off-season and years to follow, the organization, as is their right to do, decided to go in a different direction. In the 9 seasons since being afforded the opportunity to work in the National Hockey League, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, we have had a chance to learn a lot and grow significantly through the ups and downs. We watched our family double in size while developing meaningful relationships which will last a lifetime. It was an honor to be able to work in such an aspiring place with dedicated, loyal people and an extremely passionate fan base. The impact of the relationships with all the people at MLSE, from the board of directors to the ushers at Scotiabank Arena, will forever hold a dear place in our hearts. To the players, coaches, and staff at the facility each day, past and present, thank you for your passion and commitment at every step of the journey together. It was a tremendous pleasure to work alongside you each day, and we will roll from here, the Dubas family. So, that's his official statement as of now. He probably will go forward and say more later, but that's what he's saying as of now. We'll see what happens. I really wish Kyle was still the GM. Yeah, they're gonna regret that decision. I I can't express that enough. He's too good. I don't know why they let him go. Okay, so question now is what are the Leafs going to do from here? They got 5 weeks from today till June 28th. That's round one of the draft. 5 weeks today. Today is Wednesday, May 24th. The draft is Wednesday, June 28th and 29th in Nashville. Yeah, they got a lot of key personnel decisions to make. I am actually going to go to their cap friendly here, which should be loading up. Yep, here we go. So as you can see, UFAs they have available. Nola Chari, Zach Aston Reese, let me close that. Michael Bunting, David Camp, Alexander Kerfoot, Ryan O'Reilly, Wayne Simmons, Eric Gustafson, Justin Hall, Luke Shen. You have Ilya Samsonov as a restricted free agent. Victor Mete is a restricted free agent. Keep scrolling down as you get towards the Marlies. You got Aberzizi as a restricted free agent. So they're ineligible. They're ineligible for an offer sheet. They're Group 2 restricted free agent. SDA is restricted. Pontus Holmberg's restricted with arbitration. Radim Zahorna is an unrestricted. Matt Hollowell is restricted with arbitration rights. Philip Krall's restricted. Jordy Ben, Carl Dahlstrom are all unrestricted. And you got Eric Chalgren as unrestricted. And on top of that, you have Austin Matthews and William Nylander and Sam Lafferty, for that matter, all eligible to sign extensions as of July 1st. Now, as of July 1st, Matthews has a no movement clause. Mitchell Marner will have a no movement clause as of July 1st. And as of July 1st, William Nylander will submit as a 10-team no-trade list that's due on July 1st. So, that plays a key role into what the hell are they going to do. They got to hire somebody, and they got to hire him now because he's got 5 weeks for the draft. Figure out who they want to sign as keep as their restricted free agents, who's getting an offer, like who's getting tendered for restricted free agency, who they want to sign out of their current UFAs, who they're going to willingly let walk for nothing. If they could try to trade their negotiating rights for some assets, you got to do that, and you got to do that now, or at the draft, because you got to do something. So they need somebody, and they need somebody now. There's lots of names that have been tossed out there. A couple of them, right off the bat, boom, they're not going to get it. I can tell you right now. There's some of the names like Stan Bowman and Mark Bergevin. I can tell you right now, they're not being touched. MLSE has... How am I going to word this? They have a public image, and they're big on how their public image is. Stan Bowman is not being touched because of the whole Kyle Beach situation that's going on with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he was the GM and all this and that. The same reason I don't believe Mark Bergevin will be considered for that role. For look at the terrible job he did in Montreal. Like, look how bad he left the Montreal Canadiens when he left. They're just now starting to come out of it, and that's because they're actually drafting well, which is something he never did. Let me just adjust this a little bit. There we go. He didn't draft that well. He made some big trades that turned out well at the end, but look at their contracts. If Carey Price and Shea Weber were still healthy and playing, they would be in cap hell. Kind of like the Leafs are, but the Leafs are in it for a different reason. They just signed 4 guys, and this was only 2 guys, so they would have signed to that and been in cap hell. So right then and there, there's 2 guys you could take completely off the board. There's a couple others that are kind of fringe guys, but I don't see it. We will get into a couple guys here. Starting first, boom, Eric Tolsky. Now, I'm going to preface this. Shanahan did say in his press conference that he was looking for guys with experience as a GM. Didn't necessarily rule out hiring someone new as a GM, but seeing that they have experience is key. Assistant general manager have experience. In fact, most people say they do the most important job. They're the ones usually doing trade calls and contract negotiations, and we should draft this guy, we should draft that guy, we should trade for this guy, we should try to sign that guy. They're the ones doing the hard work. The GM gets all the credit, but the AGMs are the ones that deserve the credit. So we'll start off, boom, first, Eric Tolsky, current assistant general manager with the Carolina Hurricanes. Like Kyle Dubas, he's big on analytics. And his current role with the Hurricanes includes direct involvement in all hockey-related decisions, including analytics, scouting, and contract negotiations. He's been key in the Carolina's decision-making, and Carolina, in the last few years, don't have to tell you, have become quite the powerhouse in the Eastern Conference. Even though they're down 3-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, they're always, the last few years, have been one of the teams that just can't quite get over that final hump. And this year's another example that they can't quite get there yet. But they're always there. And this guy is a key part of that. Next, Brandon Pridham, current assistant general manager of the Maple Leafs, and, as we're talking right now, is the acting interim GM. Shanahan put out a call to all the other 31 GMs, says if you want to do any business with the Maple Leafs currently, contact Brandon. Brandon is, as of right now, the general manager on an interim basis. He, before being signed by the Maple Leafs in July, employed by the Leafs since 2015. Can't remember the exact date. I don't have it on me. But before that, he worked for the NHL and helped write part of the NHL CBA, and was also the guy that made sure every team was cap compliant and forced all the cap penalties. This is a cap guy. This is the guy, if you watch the documentary, the All or Nothing, but the Leafs, he was the guy that Dubas was going to, like, we're thinking about doing this. Can we do it? What's the cap-wise? Can we do this? Can we do that? Pridham was always there. Pridham has been there for every decision. He's negotiated the contracts, everything. Like, he already has the rapport with all the players and their agents currently on the team, and probably some other guys that they have interest in as well. So, and Pridham has always been rumored to be the next GM for other teams, including Calgary, who had interviewed him, but they decided to go with Craig Conroy as of yesterday, which was a good decision on their part. If it wasn't Conroy, they were going to lose him. He'd been there too long. But yeah. Next, Matthew Darche. Again, this is another guy that keeps coming up for teams. Last year, he was with Chicago. He was rumored to go to Chicago and Montreal. He is another analytics guy, current director of hockey operations for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we all know how well Tampa has done. Matthew's been there since 2019. He, according to his bio on the team website, he assists in all aspects of player personnel decisions, analytics, player development, contract negotiations, budgeting, scheduling, and cap tracking. So this is another guy that knows everything for the cap as well. He'd be a great asset to any team, and many teams have interviewed him. But does he want to leave Tampa? That's the thing. If he was going to leave Tampa, it was probably go to Montreal, and he didn't go to Montreal. So, who knows? Next, Brad Treliving. As we all know, he's the former general manager of Calgary when he resigned as of April 17th. Playoff performance wise, they haven't done much. They made it past the second round once under his tenure. They would either be first round and out or miss the playoffs. He's not afraid of making big trades, as evidenced last year when he traded away franchise player Matthew Tkachuk to Florida and got Jonathan Huberdeau, who came off an NHL record for assists by left wingers, and Mackenzie Weegar, and then went on to sign Jonathan Huberdeau to an 8-year, $84 million extension. At the end, after they missed the playoffs this year, it seemed like it was either him or the coach was going to be gone, and ownership was really high on the coach, so he resigned, and then a couple weeks later, after exit interviews with players and other key people, they'd made the decision to fire the coach as well. I know Calgary has been playing a little bit of the hardball and not letting them talk to other teams. Apparently, he was granted permission to talk to the Leafs. The Leafs called him apparently yesterday, from what I understand. And either later this week or early next week, he's expected to be in Toronto for a formal interview as the general manager. Treliving seems to be probably one of the most logistical choices, because he does seem to have the history of a yes man, and that seems to be what the MLSE board is looking for, is a guy to do what we want. We say do this, you do that. We say don't do it, you don't do it. But we'll see how it goes. Now the next one is kind of off the board. I don't really see it. It's gaining a lot of talk, and that is Doug Armstrong. I don't see it happening. Doug Armstrong's currently under contract to be the GM in the St. Louis until the end of the 2025-2026 season. They say he has an out. People have said reportedly he has an out, but then others have said no, he doesn't. And then other reporters are saying he's got the kind of rapport with the ownership where if he asks, he'll leave. They'll let him walk. I don't see that happening. Yes, it's happened before. Yes, it's happened with the Leafs. Brian Burke was the next general manager of the Maple Leafs. Everyone knew it, but the thing was he was currently the GM in Anaheim at the time. And then he did that big press conference saying, I'm not leaving Anaheim. I don't want to go to Toronto. I have no intention of going to Toronto. Anaheim is where I'm going to stay. And then very shortly after, he resigned in Anaheim and was hired in Toronto. So yes, there is precedent. I don't see this happening. I'm not going to waste too much time on Doug Armstrong. As much as I would love to see him as a GM in Toronto, he has won a cup in St. Louis. He's not going anywhere. They love him too much in St. Louis. He loves it there. And that's never going to happen. Now, there's some other names. John Chayka, Mike Gillis. I don't see that happening. Chayka's had his whole issues with the NHL in Arizona. Yeah, I think he's still waiting on official reinstatement. Mike Gillis, don't even bother. Why would you even? No, he's a non-option. Another name that's off the board that I wouldn't mind seeing, but I highly doubt will happen, is a current assistant general manager for the Maple Leafs as well, Dr. Haley Wickenheiser. She would be an amazing general manager as far as I'm concerned. She's got a great hockey mind. She thinks about the game differently than other people. I think she would do an awesome job. I just don't see her as being the kind of person that the MLSE board wants and what Brendan wants. I don't see her being, yes, Mr. Shanahan will do that. No, Mr. Shanahan, I will not do what I think should be done. She'd be the kind of person to be, fuck you, I'm doing it. I'm not asking, I'm telling you, and this is what's going to happen, and that won't go over well with the board. I'd hate to admit it, but that's the kind of person they're looking for. And as much as I'd love to see Dr. Haley Wickenheiser as GM, I don't think it's going to happen in Toronto. She'll go somewhere else, be a GM, and be very successful, or a coach even. I think she could do either job, and she would do it tremendously well. I yeah, but I just don't see it in Toronto for that reason. No matter what, they're going to have to be a yes man to Shanahan. Shanahan is effectively the GM of this team without the title. He is the president of the team and alternate governor of the team. What Shanahan says, Shanahan goes. If you don't agree with it, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out. It's his mentality right now. Shanahan is the face of this franchise. He is the final say. They won't sign or trade anybody that he wants, that he doesn't want. With that being said, as reported by Chris Johnston on the Chris Johnston Show on the SDPN, he said that Brendan Shanahan, when he called the players had what he said. Had players' belief that he intends on keeping all four core members of the Leafs. They can't do that. They need to move on. They need to move a Mitch Marner. I love Mitch. I have a Mitch jersey. He's one of my favorite players. He's a tremendous talent. That's why he's the guy to move. He's still locked up for another year. He's still locked up for 2 more seasons. This guy's constantly around 100 points the last couple years. He's going to get you the best bang for your buck in a trade. Matthews, yes and no, because the team that will trade for him wants him to resign, and they would want to make sure he signs before you trade for him. Otherwise, you're getting nothing. Nylander, same idea, but you don't want to trade Nylander. Tavares has already said he would never move his no trade. He doesn't want to go anywhere. This is home. He doesn't want to play for anyone but the Maple Leafs. Morgan Riley, you'd be crazy to trade him. He's not going anywhere. I think he's going to retire as a Maple Leaf as well. He's not going anywhere. And yeah, you'd be foolish to trade Nylander too. Just because he's the key guy. He's put up the most points in the playoffs consistently. He's got the I don't fucking care kind of attitude that puts people off, but that's exactly what you need in Toronto in the playoffs especially. Like, fuck off, I don't care. I'm just going to do me. And I love it. And they need to keep him. So, this should be an interesting couple weeks. Hopefully, by next week at the latest, hopefully they have what they're going to do. I hope they already know what they're going to do. And I really hope it's Prinham, because he's already there and has that relationship. It's got to be Brandon Prinham as GM. If you're getting rid of Kyle Dubas, like they did, it has to be Brandon Prinham that replaces him. You can't go anywhere else. This guy is in the organization, already knows everything, has a rapport with all the players and their agents, knows exactly what they want. You can get into a phone call with Austin's agent, which also works the same agency that was Kyle Dubas' agent. Let's just keep that in mind. And work out a deal. I know that you can't officially do anything till July 1st, but we all know that's bull. It's considered tampering because you can't do anything till July 1. But everyone does it. And it's not like he's a player on another team. He is their player. They're talking. You can't say they're not. But yeah. So in summary, it's got to be Brandon Pridham. But I have a sneaking feeling it's going to end up being Brad Treliving. And we're going to be having Boston Pizza at all Maple Leaf games. For anyone that doesn't know, his dad is the owner of Boston Pizza. And was the guy on, not Shark Tank, that's the American one, on Dragon's Den. But, so, that's my feel. That's how I feel. That's my blog post as well. This is, the end of the show. The streaming will commence soon. Possibly later tonight. I got softball at 6:30. What time is it now? 4 o'clock. So I got softball in a couple hours. Yeah, 2.5 hours. I got a game. Goes to about 8. Gives me some time to eat. Possibly after that, I'll see you guys later. I will tweet out if I'm going online. If not, I got tomorrow as well. And Friday. And then we'll see from there next Wednesday. Probably not, because I'll be going to a Jays game. But, yeah. So, let me know what you think. If I should keep doing a little podcast like this. I'm going to try to talk to my friends. See if we're going to do that show that we keep talking about doing. Get that up and running. Kind of the same idea as this. We'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching. Whether you watched it here live on Twitch or later on YouTube. Let me know. Got my QR code down in the bottom corner over here. Whoop. Scan that. Gets you all my links. All the socials. Everything. Don't forget. Use on the very bottom there. Use Scorton_boy for 10% off your orders at ultisups.com. They have new flavors coming soon. And you know what? Even though they're out, I'm ready to hurt again. Go Leafs, go. Maybe next year's the year. I know we see that every year, but maybe. Anyways, see you later. Let off with the goal horn. Come get your duds in order, 'cause we're bound across the water. Heave away, me jollies, heave away. And that's another thing. New GM, new goal horn. New goal song. Gotta get rid of the goal song. Gotta get rid of the winning song. Get something more modern. That's just something that I was playing around with as a joke. I also had another one here. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, I know exactly where to find it. Go over here. Hockey related. This was another one that I was joking around with. You hear it on the streams.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
Oh, and another thing. You guys better bring back Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph on the radio.
Holy mackerel!
You need that at every game. Hell, bring him back on TV. Especially Bowen. We miss it. I miss Joe Bowen on games on TV. I hate, especially on TSN, having to watch Gord Miller. God, it drives me nuts, man. Joe Bowen needs to be back on TV. Anyways, that's another rant for another day. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you later, possibly even later tonight on the stream. Later.
Anakin! I have the high ground!